Okay, welcome to Business Economics, IT and Travel presentation. My name is Judy Brassington, Associate Director for Business and Maths, and I'm going to talk to you about these subjects today, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. Okay, so within my department, I'm going to talk about this evening is Economics A-Level and Business A-Level and a number of BTECs. The BTECs are Level 2 certificate, the Business Level 2 certificate, the Business Level 3 diploma, the IT Level 3 certificate, and the Travel Level 3 certificate. So I'm going to talk to you about each of these subjects and then various combinations. Okay, so starting with A-level business, this is the subject for you if you want to learn about how business functions and their wider role in society. You can see the content topic area, so you can see it covers a wide range of things such as marketing, operations, finance, HR, all those functions that you have in business. And if your son or daughter has done GCSE business, it will be quite similar, only in much more detail. You don't need to have done the GCSE in order to do the A-level, but it will be much more about a strategic position of businesses and strategic methods and things like that. The exam board is AQA. There are 3 exams of 2 hours each, and you can see there the entry criteria. A-level economics is if you enjoy debating economic issues such as inequality, immigration, how we should pay for healthcare, and wanting to keep up to date with international and national trends. We quite often get asked if you can do business and economics A-level, and the answer is definitely yes. They complement each other very well. They are 2 separate topics. But it does depend on what you want to do in the long run. So if you want to go into a career in business or finance, then yes, that's great. If you want to go into different areas, then it's better to keep your options open. So for economics, we look at markets and business behaviour, the national and global economy, and business is very much about the operations of a business, whereas economics looks at the global economy, inflation, and how businesses operate within the economy as opposed to how an individual business operates. And in order to do economics, you need a grade 6 in maths. You can also do, if you wanted to do a more practical business subject, you can also do Btec Business. And this is about mainly coursework, although there is also a finance exam and a marketing exam. This shows you the units that we do for Btec Business. So we offer it as a 1 option, a 1 A-level option or a 2 A-level option. So again, it depends what you want to do. If you know that you definitely want to go into business, you could choose it as 2 of your choices. So everybody does Exploring Business, which is coursework, and that looks at the structure of businesses and how they operate organisationally. Also developing a marketing campaign, which is an examined unit, is the other one that's done. And then personal finance and recruitment and selection. So you can see here you have 4 units if you're doing the certificate. If you're doing the diploma, you have the extra units of managing an event, international business, and principles of management and digital marketing. They are 2 options for Btec Business. We also offer Btec IT. Quite often a student, if they, as I say, know that they want to go into business, would do the double business and the IT with it. Designed for students that are interested in an introduction to creating IT systems, or they just want to be able to use IT in the business sense. So here you will do things like social media, graphic images, websites, lots of key skills that you would need in business. So the BTEC in IT sits very well with the BTEC in business. We also offer a BTEC in travel and tourism. So this is for students that are interested in working in hospitality, industry, or any sort of tourism. It was 100% coursework. Actually, now we do have, next year there will be exams, but the units will be the same, very similar. So you will look at long haul and UK destinations. Travel and tourism isn't all about just getting on an aeroplane. There's lots of tourists in the UK, so it's about developing activities and facilities for overseas tourists. And it's also about customer service. So there's a whole unit on customer service. In terms of university destinations, we offer a range of A Levels and BTECs, so you can take a combination of A Levels and BTECs. The universities, the majority of universities, all but Oxford and Cambridge and Durham, will accept BTECs as equivalent to A Levels. This is an example of a student who last year studied with us. He studied economics with us, and he went to Princeton University in America, and we helped him with his application there. But generally speaking, the map here shows where students go. Royal Holloway, obviously being local, is very popular, but students go all over the place: Reading, Bath, Bournemouth, Surrey, Kent, doing a range of subjects such as management, accountancy, finance, travel, IT, or any of those areas. As I say, quite often, if you want to do a degree in economics, then you will almost certainly need maths. So a lot of our economics students also do maths, and then they may branch into engineering or finance or different courses like that. So it covers a whole wide range of careers. In terms of our expectations are attendance and punctuality, dress code in that you don't have to wear a uniform, but we expect it to be smart and not full of holes. Behaviour in and out of the classroom is really important. Students need to wear a lanyard and be ready to learn, and respect the college. But one thing that we have, we do is develop employability. And so in the past, we've done work experience. This year, due to the situation, we're doing a remote work experience where students liaise on this programme with various companies and work through a selection of modules and have Q&A sessions with employers. Obviously, nothing like the real experience, but obviously the only thing that we can do at the moment. But we do have really good links with employers. We do things like go to Twickenham Stadium, business tour. We've done Thorpe Park. We've had visiting speakers from PwC and the Bank of England. To say, in previous years, we've done work experience, and we have a number of careers fairs. So that's just a really quick whiz through of our topics, and I'm sure that there will be a few questions, or you may want me to go back to some of the slides to explain things in more detail. This is just how to apply. Obviously, you select your course on the website, you create an account and complete the form, and then come along to an interview where you will be interviewed, and it will be your chance to ask questions. One of the first questions that we ask at an interview is what the student intends to do. Have they got any career aspirations or areas they want to focus on? And from there, we can develop a suitable programme for them and talk to them about the courses on offer. I think one of the most difficult things for students to do at their age is to select 3 subjects that they want to study for 2 years. But obviously, selecting those subjects can have a significant impact on what they then go on to do. So we just make sure that they're not ruling out any careers. So for example, if you knew that you wanted to do, or you thought you might want to do economics at university, we would advise you to choose maths. However, there are a few courses you could do without maths, but it's just being aware of that at the early stage. And then step 4 is the final enrolment, which is when you come in the summer with your results, and we just check that everything's okay and enroll you. But throughout that process, we have an admissions team who will be able to answer any questions. So are there any questions that you'd like me to?
Just to everyone that's joined.
Sorry? Hi, sorry, I didn't catch the question.
Sorry, we just got a couple. Are there any typical
Sorry, can I come? I don't know. I can't hear you very much. Shall I go?
Sorry, are there any?
So you have to repeat the question. Karen, do you know what the question was?
I don't. I was just thinking, one of the questions that I often field from students, perhaps you could explain how in economics A-level students are assessed. Is there any coursework? How many exams do they have to sit? Is it essays? What kind of things might they be assessed on?
Okay, so that's no coursework, it is all exams, and you have 3 exams. One is on micro, which is about individual firms and pricing and how an increase in price might affect quantity. The second one is macro, which is all about the global economy. And the third exam is a combination of the two. So it's called micro, macro. And exam papers are divided into 3 sections. The first section is short answer questions and mathematical calculations. The second section is data response, where you're given data and a case study and asked a series of questions, starting with short answer questions, ending with a longer answer question. And then the final section is an essay on a choice of 2 subjects.
Brilliant, thank you. And what about in business? If you could talk students through a little bit round in the BTECs, because now there is some assessment, there's some external exams as well as some coursework, isn't there?
Yes, so if I go back to, I can go back on my slides. Yes, so in the first year, there's a, if you're doing the certificate, there's 1 exam. So you do 1 unit that's coursework, and then you do a marketing exam, which is an external assessment. So you have time to prepare for it, and then you have to act like you are the marketing manager and create a marketing plan. And if you were doing the diploma, there's 2 units of coursework and 2 exams. So you would also have to do the finance exam in the first year.
I see. And could you talk students through a little bit about work experience, how we support students with work experience?
Yes, so what we've done in the past is second year Btec students we would encourage them to find their own work placement, although we do have some contacts as well. And we found that if we tell them early enough through friends, parents, families, they can find their own work placement, and we support them with that. We've also had links with an Aspire Centre, and we'd be looking to do something similar with another organisation, whereby we do group work and prepare them for the work experience skills they would need. So an outside agency would come in and talk about teamwork and communication and presentation, all those key employability skills that employers want, so that when they go and apply for work experience in the second year, they can market those skills they've got along, obviously, with their business. But with the other subjects, although we don't send them specifically out on work experience, we will get speakers in and we will do trips relating to what they might want to do.
Brilliant, thank you. One of the other questions that comes up quite regularly is the difference between computer science A-level and Btec IT.
Okay, so computer science A-level is about programming. Someone once likened it to a car, like IT would be like driving a car, and computer science would be like the workings of a car, which I thought was quite a good way to explain it. So it depends whether you want to get into the programming side of how computers work, or you want to just be using them in order to do other things. So the things that they're learning in IT at the moment are about how to use spreadsheets, how to use lookup tables, how to use social media and graphics. So basically using the computer to produce things as opposed to writing computer programs.
Brilliant, thank you. Can you talk to us a little bit about the kind of suite of facilities that we've got? So a student that's following business, for example, where might they expect to have their classes? What kind of facilities have they got available to them for classroom?
We've got a business block, and we've got dedicated IT rooms and dedicated travel rooms. So we try and keep most of the lessons in dedicated buildings so that students have resources around them. They've got the textbooks, they've got all the relevant things that they need. We have access to computers for students to research in. Obviously for IT, every lesson is in our computer room because they need to be using the computers. And the coursework, there will be opportunity in the lessons to do coursework as well. So we will teach things and then there'll be an opportunity to use that. We also have the learning centre where we have computers. So there's always access to computers, and the relevant programs will be on the computers.
That's great, thank you. Claire, have you got any other questions? Sorry, I've been bombarding Judy with questions that have been thrown at me. Oh, I think she's silent. Shall I keep going then?
Sorry, my speakers went out.
Oh, and it's gone again. Our attendees, have you got any specific questions that you'd like to ask Judy or myself while you've got us here? Are there any questions that you're interested either in business, IT, travel, or whether you have any questions about life at Strodes in general? You don't have to speak. I know that some people find that quite daunting, but happy for you to type questions for us. You've got a captive audience here. Don't appear to be any questions. How many students, roughly speaking, in each class, Judy?
Between 15 and 20, although I have quite a small class at the moment for economics of 12. So I'd say anywhere between 12 and 20, depending on how many classes we actually have.
Yeah.
Be averaging about 15.
Yeah. And do all students who take business, do you find that the majority of students have done business at school, or is it not a problem if students haven't?
No, it's not a problem if students haven't. And quite often, if I'm interviewing them, I'm encouraging them to do something else, actually. So if they can't choose between business and economics and they're good at maths and they've already done business, I would say to do economics. But it doesn't matter, no, at all. Obviously, to start with, those students that have done business might have a slight advantage, but I think the summer work that we give prospective students is a really, really good indication. And I always say this to them at interview, look at the summer work. If you enjoy the summer work, you'll probably enjoy the subject. But if you look at the summer work and you actually think that it's too, you're not interested in it, then it's probably worth looking at another subject to see if you would like that more. You do have to have an interest in what's going on in the economy and business in general to do business or economics.
And what kind of common subject combinations do you tend to see? I know you talked about the fact that students can take both economics and business, and quite a few students take economics and maths. But what other subjects typically are the most common kind of programs of study, as it were?
I think the thing that's slightly different about my department is that it crosses such a broad range. So people tend to sort of focus either on science or art, but with business and economics, we quite often have students that are across areas. So sometimes the economic students will take art, sometimes they'll take science, and it does sometimes psychology, sociology, English, history, geography. So it does lend itself, business and economics lend themselves well to across all subjects. So I wouldn't say there was a set. The ones that I noticed last year, the ones that went on to do a finance degree at university, and were majority of them doing economics, business and maths. But they knew that that's what they wanted to do right from the beginning.
Yeah, interesting. Can you talk students just through the kind of expectations we have in terms of homework load and workload?
Yes, so what we advise for all subjects is 5 hours per subject outside of class, which includes homework, but also includes background reading, going over notes, making sure that you understand things, looking at videos, and for business and economics, looking at current affairs. We have, as a sixth form, a free subscription to the Financial Times. So quite often teachers will set an article from the Financial Times and some questions. And the Financial Times are promoting their links towards sixth form. So they ask specific questions on specific topics. So they give a case study and gives questions. And also it's the student's responsibility to say if they don't understand anything, and then, you know, try and find out. So yes, there is an expectation of a lot of independent work quite often before the lesson.
And what could students do to prepare for level 3 study in business or IT or economics? Are there things that they can be doing to prepare?
Yeah, so this year we sent out lots of preparation material, and I think that that's something that we would look at doing again in terms of preparing students, because there is a big jump between GCSE and A-level, particularly if they're not actually doing the GCSE. But last year they sort of finished a lot earlier, so there was a big gap. But this year, that's what the summer homework is designed to do, that we set them. It's a lot of reading, thinking about things. And generally, it's not so much about memory, it's about a deeper understanding and just going over things, knowing where the resources are, looking at the revision guides, and asking teachers, and we provide support workshops as well. And I think that's the one thing that I've said to my first years is it's really important that you ask questions if you don't understand. You're not expected to understand everything.
Can you just talk students through what would happen if they don't, for example, get the grades for the subjects that they're looking for particularly?
Well, enrollment, we would speak to them about the subjects. Well, as I said, we would start with what it is their long-term goal, what it is they want to do, and then what courses they're qualified to do, and then build a program around that. So if you didn't say qualify for economics or A-level business, you might be able to do Btec Business or a Btec in another subject. So we would insist that students are qualified for the course, because that's the minimum entry requirement, and they would really find it very difficult if they weren't qualified for that course. So that might mean that they need to have a rethink about perhaps their career, or not necessarily the area, but the actual job that they would perhaps do. So if, for example, they were thinking they wanted to go into medicine but didn't get the grades, there's lots of, they wouldn't necessarily need to be a doctor, but there's lots of other things that they could do. Or if they wanted to do accounting and they hadn't got the maths grade, well, you know, they could go into business, and there is quite a lot, there's basic finance in business that you would then be able to use to get further qualifications.
Oh, that's great, thank you. And obviously applicants to us, if they're at school, are used to coming to school at the beginning of the day at 8:30 and leaving at 3. Can you explain how kind of a college day is potentially a bit different for them?
Yes, so each student will get a timetable based on their choice of subjects. Each of the blocks are an hour and a half long, but it could be on one particular day you don't start until 10:30, or you finish at 2:30, or you've got a gap in the day. Those are independent study periods. Students are free to come in, or they could go home if they can work at home. Particularly right near the exams, I encourage students to use those study periods and work a full day. So come in, particularly if they're not particularly disciplined at working at home. So come in for an 8:30 start and go at 4, but use the time in between to study in the library, or go and see their teachers for catch-up workshops, etc.
Okay, that's great. I've got a question here about the fact that some students find that the interview process a little bit stressful. Can you just give applicants a bit of an idea about what we're looking for in an interview?
Yeah, I mean, I always think it's not really an interview as such. We're not really testing them, and I always sort of try and put their mind at ease, because it's probably the first time they've had it. So I always sort of try and say it's really for us to find out about you and for you to find out about us. So we're not setting a test, say yes you can come to Strodes or no you can't. What we're trying to do is find out what subjects the students could do and why they've chosen that subject, not to try and put them off, but to try and make sure that they've chosen the right subjects, or they know what the subject is about. So really it's advice and guidance, I think, more than a formal interview.
Yeah, that's great, thank you. And there's a good question here. What is special about Strodes College in particular? We're quite biased about that, aren't we? We think it's brilliant, but what do you think?
You can see the picture. It looks lovely. Yeah, lovely building. But I think the thing that people always say about Strodes is it's really, really friendly. The teachers are amazing. Out of all the places I've worked with, I know, of course, we're biased, but the teachers are all very keen that their students do well. So they will help them as much as possible. And it's small enough, so it's big enough to have the facilities, but small enough for everybody to know who you are, so you don't get lost in it like with some massive great FE college.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Judy. I think one of the great things about coming to sixth form college like Strodes is this great stepping stone, isn't it, in between. It's a little move away from the school environment, but not quite the kind of the huge jump that perhaps students will have when they then go to university. So it's a great stepping stone. And we both of our sons and daughters all came here as well, didn't they, Judy? So that's quite a recommendation.
Yeah, definitely, and because of all the awkwardness it brings. But yeah, I mean, it is as I say, in a school you couldn't necessarily go home in the middle of the day. You might have a uniform, so it is definitely the middle ground.
Yes, it is.
We although we expect independence, we don't leave it totally to you like some places would. We flag up if people aren't attending, so we'll really follow up on attendance and submission of homework and all those sort of things.
That's fine. The marketing team have asked me to let all of our attendees know that we will email over to them all the links that we've been talking about, the presentation, and obviously the links to the resources that we've got online. So we'll have all of that available and sent over to you, no problem. Judy, is there anything else that you can think of that students might need to know as they come and join us in a...
I think the only other thing is the VLE, the virtual learning environment. We have used Moodle, but obviously in the lockdown, we've all got really quite, I'd say, good at IT, so that a lot of courses have Google Classrooms and resources. So a lot of it is, there's a lot of resources electronically that students can use for revision and for catch up if there's any reason why they can't attend.
Yeah, yes, that's great. It's keeping hold of all of the good parts of remote learning without staying on remote learning, which I think we're all a little bit fed up with now, aren't we? We've all got square eyes from staring at the screen for so long, and I'm sure the attendees will sympathise with that as well. Has anyone got any other questions for Judy, or indeed myself or the marketing team, that we can help with? Oh, we've got one question. Does the college organise open events with universities and help students to apply to university, Judy?
Definitely, we help students apply to university. That starts very early on with personal statements through the tutor. We can organise open events, arrange visits. We haven't, because there's so many students like to do their own, but we are always getting information. So Royal Holloway we would, so local universities, we could, if we had enough students interested, certainly arrange a trip, and we have done in the past to Royal Holloway, but certainly in terms of application to universities, yes, a lot of help with that. Could you give the attendees a brief overview of our Aspire programme? Yes, so students that are set to achieve, want to go to top universities and achieve A and A-star grades, join the Aspire programme, which is a weekly meeting whereby one of our tutors, teachers who's very experienced in top universities, talks about various subjects. So it's not subject related. So one week we'd have a conversation about science or a presentation about science. Another time it would be about economics. Another time it would be about something different, just to broaden students' horizons and get them involved. And recently we've had a few students request to join the Aspire programme. So if suddenly that they are getting really good grades and would like to go to top universities, then they can request to join, and they get practice with the Oxbridge interviews, and the tutor there would help them write their personal statements. Yeah, and one of the things that we've seen recently in this year is the slight increase in remote interviews, and interestingly, some of the universities that perhaps might not have interviewed before have taken the opportunity to offer applicants for remote interview, and I'm rather inclined to think that that's likely to continue. So we're readying some resources to prepare students for remote interviews, because I think, as we've said with the teaching styles, that some elements of remote life will continue, and I suspect that that's one of them. It's a really good opportunity for course leaders to meet with applicants. So it's one of the things that we're building in to the UCAS application process. It's a little bit daunting for students to complete an interview by Skype or Teams or Google Meet or whatever it might be. So getting students ready for that is something that we're working on as well. Okay, have we got any other questions? I'm just having a look. Judy, what would you say to students who come to Strodes not knowing many other students? That's a really good point, and actually that's where Strodes comes into its own, really, because there's not just one feeder school. There's so many different schools that come into Strodes, and there will be quite a lot of students like that. We would normally do quite a lot of group work, group activities to get students to get to know each other. And so they make really good friends with people on their course. So it's a real opportunity to meet new people.
Mm. Okay, I think marketing have just said we're coming to the end of the session unless anyone has any other questions. We will make sure that the presentation that Judy's given here is available. It's being recorded, and we will make sure that we're sending through details of all of the links that we've talked about in this particular presentation. If you have any other questions for Judy, then by all means contact us at our info box, and the email address is also up on our website. But if there are no other questions and we've answered all of your queries, then it was really lovely to meet you, and we'll see you soon.
Look forward to seeing you soon.